I'm Shirley Paulson in conversation with Natalie Renee Perkins. We're talking about my book, Illuminating the Secret Revelation of John, Catching the Light. And we invite you to listen in. You're reminding me of another big part of the book, which had to do with salvation, which is a word that is, I think, probably more important to people who are in ministry or who are involved in a church life, but people outside church life think, what in the world is that for? But I'm curious about your own thoughts about salvation. I think one of the surprising things in this book is that it basically says that anybody can have salvation if they actually repent and change and become godlike. It has nothing to do with church membership or anything like that. But how does that work with your ministry?
I loved the stuff around salvation here in this text because it was about being saved from real things that were happening, right? From sickness and from like anger and from it was so I thought that was so fascinating versus like the problem of original sin. Honestly, I felt like it was more just about like, here are some real things in life that people don't want to experience, and guess what, there's a way to understand these things differently, or a way out of these X, Y, and Z. So like the troubles of the soul aren't actually dependent on the flesh, right? So just because you die doesn't mean that whatever is happening with the soul stops. It gave me a whole different understanding of like, I identify as like a processed Christian Universalist. So I think that I agree with this text in that way. But the idea of choice is so fascinating for me in this, and that you do have to actively choose. You have to actively choose it. And if you don't, then you don't get it. Like you can't, and I think that's a piece that I hadn't ever really slotted into my Universalist thinking before. And I just really love, I'm going to like tinker with that a little bit as I think about my own understanding of my spirituality and faith. My community that I serve is a very interfaith community, very spiritually diverse. So we have, Christians, Muslim, Buddhist, atheist, Jewish, like you name it. Everybody worships at Middle Collegiate Church. We're a Christian church, but interfaith in our work. And so something like this, where salvation then gets to be understood in a whole nother viewpoint that we wouldn't generally like have had conversations around, would be really life-giving in my community for a number of people. We tend to, we're not, it's not big on like atonement theory sort of space, but this understanding that your salvation is also part of, I don't know, like there's like a mental salvation, there's a psychic salvation, there's all of these different ways in which one is quote unquote saved. It's not just about this soul spirit moment, some great battle with, and the demons are about like how they can invade and influence, right? Like the way that your body works, your fingers and toes even, or, the way that you understand something, or just really, I just really fascinating. Yeah.
I was, thanks for bringing up the subject of the demons, because I'd have to say that when I first read that, I go, oh yeah, right. I sure do not relate to these thousands of demons running around the world. And I thought, oh gosh, there's a demon that governs my toenails and my fingernails and my eyelashes. And I don't think so. But it did, when I really kept going over and thinking about this, I thought, what it's doing is explaining that everything about you is is sort of has some relationship with a thought process somewhere, and that the demons are basically thought forces that make you think in a certain way, and it's expressed in your body in some way. So it just sort of made me rethink, how do we understand our bodies in a way that I never really considered, that my eyelashes were my choice, or whatever. Not that I can choose how I make my eyelashes, but that I can have more control over things that are going on with my body. I can maybe put it that way, because of the understanding the way demons or thoughts tend to work or not work in our experiences. Yeah. Oh, that was a new one.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, going back to the whole process idea, that there's infinite amount of choices that are available at any given moment, right? And so that's where I really identified with this idea of the demon of my eyelashes, is really about like, what are the choices that I'm making all around that ultimately make the choice around like whatever happens with my eyelashes, right? Like, do I eat proper food? Am I getting proper rest? What makeup am I putting on my eyelashes? Am I taking it off properly? Like all of these things that um, also factor into it, right? On such a small level, that we don't think are really a big deal. But there's something else working on the other side, and it's up to us, again, going back to the story of Adam and Eve being cast out, but them still being pursued, right? And having to actively spend your time deciding against evil, choosing against that. Like, yeah, sure, pizza's great, but pizza every day, is going to change things in your body, right? And there are then decisions and options and choices that are no longer available to you as a result of that.
Thanks for being with us. We've been talking about my book, Illuminating the Secret Revelation of John, Catching the Light, published by Cascade Books, which is available on the website earlychristiantexts.com or your favorite bookseller.